Krystal, what are you taking a look at?
Well, as you know, Donald Trump has been relentlessly hitting Ron DeSantis with every attack possible, throwing it all against the wall to just see what sticks. But somewhere between slamming his lack of loyalty and alleging that he's a groomer, Trump threw an interesting critique into the mix. In a post a while ago on Truth Social, Trump wrote, quote, Ron DeSanctimonious is delivering the biggest insurance company bailout to globalist insurance companies in history. He's also crushed Florida homeowners whose houses were destroyed in the hurricane. They're getting pennies on the dollar. This is the worst insurance scam in the entire country. Now, if you don't live in Florida or work in the insurance industry, you could be forgiven for having no idea what Trump is talking about here. But whether or not this particular attack on DeSantis sticks, there is actually a lot to say about the underlying problem that Trump is wildly gesturing at. It's an issue that is increasingly relevant not only in Florida, but in states across the country. Due to climate-fueled disasters, vast swaths of America are becoming essentially uninsurable. Homeowners are getting gouged, state insurance funds are collapsing, and private insurers are demanding bailouts and engaging, in some instances, in outright fraud. It is a mess with huge implications for homeowners and looming costs for the entire economy. Just take a look at these headlines. You've got some insurance companies pull out of Louisiana and Florida in hurricane season. State Farm stops home insurance sales in California, citing wildfire risks. Colorado's wildfire risk is so high, some homeowners cannot get insured. Whether it's wildfires, hurricanes, or floods, the increased threat of extreme weather, especially in states along the Gulf Coast and in the western U.S., has made homeowners insurance a losing proposition for a lot of actors in the private market. In fact, the CEO of one of the largest insurance companies in the world recently issued a dire warning to a U.S. Senate committee that these disasters have completely destabilized the insurance and reinsurance industries. For those who don't know, reinsurance is basically insurance for the insurers and backstops the losses from particularly catastrophic events. PLC President Eric Anderson testified that reinsurance companies, quote, have been withdrawing from high-risk areas around wildfire and flood in particular. He continued, just as the U.S. economy was overexposed to mortgage risk in 2008, the economy today is overexposed to climate risk. Anyone with a mortgage is required by banks to have an active homeowner's insurance policy. So what happens in this very unsexy sounding market can have huge implications for housing affordability. In high-risk areas, premiums have been absolutely skyrocketing. In fact, after Hurricane Ian slammed into Florida as one of the most expensive extreme weather events in history, Florida homeowners have watched with horror as their premiums have gone up an astonishing amount. One analysis projected that Florida homeowners can expect a 40% rate hike this year alone. And that is if you can get insurance at all. Many states, including Florida, have watched as large insurers abandon the market altogether, leaving taxpayers as the insurer of last resort. In Colorado, desperate homeowners and would-be homeowners have been begging legislators to intervene in order to establish one of those state insurance funds. Up until now, they didn't need one. But wildfire risk has made areas close to forests in particular difficult or impossible to insure. California's state insurance plan has a massive $332 million deficit, thanks to an influx of new policyholders due in part to an increase in wildfires. Now, every year, that state seems to set a new record for the expense and the damage of those wildfires. Overall, state-sponsored plans across the country have seen a 29% increase in policies in just a 3-year period. It is an unsustainable situation, and something has got to give. And to bring it back around to Florida, the Sunshine State might be the best cautionary tale of what it looks like when the whole thing starts to give. According to a Washington Post investigation, Florida's insurance market began its descent into chaos in 2005 when devastating storms caused several large insurers like State Farm to flee the state. This left smaller, less financially stable firms to come in to try to fill the gap. The next big blow came in 2017, one of the most expensive storm seasons in history. Most recently, the destruction and cleanup of Hurricane Ian, which I mentioned before, tipped that system from crisis to catastrophe. Left in the wreckage, of course, have been homeowners desperately trying to rebuild their lives after intense storm damage. Insurers have been caught engaging in outright fraud, denying legitimate claims or paying out a tiny fraction of the actual incurred damages. The Washington Post uncovered a scheme among insurers to systematically delay and underpay policyholders in the state. Meanwhile, insurance lobbyists ran to the Republican-led state legislature to demand additional protections in the bailout that Trump referenced in his attack on DeSantis. And, the man does actually have a point. The Florida legislature decided to create a taxpayer-funded $1 billion bailout fund for the insurers to tap if their losses were too great. They also made it more difficult for stiffed and defrauded homeowners to sue scam insurers who are ripping them off en masse. And the legislature limited who can get policies through the state-run insurer, forcing more customers into the hands of these price-gouging criminals. Hurricane Ian made landfall in September of last year. As of March of this year, 33,000 Florida homeowners still have open claims linked to Ian that have received no payment. Another 125,000 were closed without ever receiving any payment. The unmitigated march of climate crisis has forced a series of terrible choices on state governments and on taxpayers. You could have taxpayers subsidize the cost of insuring homes in disaster-prone areas. You could continue trying to muddle through with a mix of private insurers, rising premiums for everyone, and occasional industry bailouts and rampant fraud. Or you could basically abandon the large and growing regions which are uninsurable due to extreme weather risk. Without dealing with the underlying crisis, our options are only set to become more painful. This is a huge deal in Florida. It's a huge deal in Texas, Louisiana. Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Sagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.